What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we are going over 10 reasons why the wild card rule ruined WWE. Ever since it was introduced over a month ago from Vince McMahon, I think everyone has been hating on this, and today's video will be roasting this.
Boom. Roasted.
And why I think it ruined Raw and SmackDown collectively together and made one shit show. So let's get right on the list with number 10, the McMahon family lied to us. Remember that groundbreaking announcement where Vince, Shane, and Stephanie McMahon all showed up with Triple H to Monday Night Raw to tell the universe that we are in charge now. They promised that we would be seeing what we wanted to see. Well, that was clearly the most bullshit segment ever and made absolutely no sense because we, the fans, despise the wild card rule, and it's not going away anytime soon. Every single week, fans complain about the wild card rule and nothing ever changes. How many more tweets need to be tweeted? How many more videos like this of people talking about their hate for this horrible rule needs to be made? It's very clear that WWE does not care what we think. So fans have not been watching, viewership keeps going down, and people just lost interest in the weekly shows. WWE is heading to an all-time low ratings every single week, and I couldn't be happier. I love the company, and it's been one of my favorite things for my entire life. But when they don't care about the fans and they keep producing garbage, I want them to go down and lose viewers because they deserve it. Also, it's not only the fans who hate the rule, which leads me to number 9, even the wrestlers hate it. People within the company also despise the rule. Here's a quote from Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp talking about the wrestlers' thoughts on the wild card rule. He said, "Here's hoping they end that wild card. All but one person I've spoken to in the company hates the idea of the wild card. They hate it. Several of them stated that, oh, I wouldn't hate it if it was one person on a show, but it's a crutch." I think it's safe to assume that the one person who doesn't hate the idea is Vince McMahon himself, because he thinks he's a genius and he came up with it all by himself one day when he was in the shower just thinking. All jokes aside, I actually feel bad for the wrestlers. They were probably really excited to work for their dream job, dream company, and now they have to deal with this crap. This is why so many of them are unhappy with the company and want to leave to go to another promotion, whether that's AEW, New Japan, or Ring of Honor. Also, this probably creates so many issues with driving around from Raw to SmackDown back to the Raw tour and vice versa. It's probably a huge mess logistically, and Vince McMahon doesn't even pay them for transportation, so that's another problem. That's why you hire them as employees and not just contractors. It really makes me mad to see how they are being treated. Number 8, separate championships are ruined. During the brand split, WWE introduced all new championships for each brand, including the Universal Championship, the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. This was done because only people from Raw could compete for Raw Championships, while only SmackDown superstars could compete for SmackDown titles. It actually makes a lot of sense. But the wild card rule took that logic and threw it outside of the window. For example, Bayley is a SmackDown Women's Champion and she is facing Alexa Bliss, who is a Raw wrestler. This should not be allowed because they are breaking the one rule of the championship. If Alexa Bliss wins, will she just be on SmackDown every week? Will she just be showing up on Raw with the SmackDown title? Can she compete for the Raw Women's title as well? There's a lot of confusion and it complicates everything. This leads me to my next point, number 7, they don't follow any rules. I just stated one example of WWE breaking rules because of this wild card rule. But this is not the only rule that they broke. The biggest rule that was broken is the amount of people that can show up from Raw or SmackDown, vice versa, you know? Originally, Vince McMahon stated on live television that only 3 superstars were allowed from the other brand per episode. This is the biggest rule in the entire wild card rule. It defines what the wild card rule is. And what does WWE do? They break the rule within the next 10 minutes. Lars Sullivan came out of nowhere lurking around, and then Vince was like, oh well, then we'll make a force. However he says it, and then they moved on to 4 superstars, but It gets even funnier because the next night on SmackDown, they broke that rule yet again when they had 5 superstars from Raw show up on SmackDown Live. We are at the point where they don't even care about it because 7 people showed up on Raw the other night that were from SmackDown, and it just doesn't make sense. What is happening? Are we slowly increasing the number? Like, this rule doesn't make sense anymore. At this point, it's just both super shows. Clearly, Vince doesn't care about the intelligence of his fans, and it's actually sad that it's like a slap to the face of all of us. Number 6, the superstar shakeup means nothing. Let's talk about something really fun and interesting that the wildcard rule ruined.
This evening is ruined. Look, wait, what? This evening is ruined. The whole evening is ruined. Why are you saying it like that? Saying what?
The superstar shakeup happens once a year, and it is when we find out which superstars from Raw move to SmackDown Live and SmackDown Live superstars move to Raw. It truly shakes up the WWE for an entire year, giving us fresh matches, feuds, and segments. Although I do prefer the draft style because it looks better, I appreciated the superstar shakeup because it was must-watch TV. I wanted to see where each of these superstars would land. For example, this year, Becky Lynch went to Raw, and that was big. AJ Styles moving over to Monday nights left SmackDown Live without the person who built the house. And Roman Reigns transitioned over to SmackDown Live to take those keys to the house. However, all these draft picks meant nothing anymore, and it's pointless because you now see AJ and Becky on SmackDown, and Roman Reigns is practically a dual-branded superstar because he goes to every single show. Newsflash, Roman does not draw ratings. I don't even want to see another shakeup next year because it doesn't have the same fire it once had, and it's pointless, and it's going to be a waste of time, and no one's going to watch it. Let's be real. Number 5, no more unique shows. Raw and SmackDown Live used to feel like 2 completely different television shows. The fact that there were different wrestlers and storylines on each show made them super unique. Personally, I liked SmackDown Superstars a lot more, and the stories were much more interesting, which is why I preferred watching that instead of Monday Night Raw. SmackDown was more focused on wrestling as well, while Raw focused on storylines, even if they were bad storylines. Now, both shows kind of feel like they have the exact same feel to it, and it's not unique like it used to be. We had some of the best storytelling in the beginning of the year with Kofi Kingston trying to chase the WWE title through some of the best TV matches we've seen in a long time. Kofi was literally wrestling for hours and hours in multiple gauntlet matches. Now, it seems like SmackDown is focused on creating stupid segments and not giving us the matches we want to see. Like I stated, the shows are no longer unique, and the wildcard rule ruined that. Also, people who bought SmackDown Live tickets for Monday house shows are missing people because those people are going to the Monday Night Raws instead of the house shows, and that's just sad because these people are spending a lot of money. Another reason why Vince doesn't care about the fans. Number 4, the same shit every week. When WWE announced the wildcard rule, they promised we would see new and fresh things. They lied yet again because we've been seeing the same thing over and over and over. Here's a breakdown of how the wildcard rule works. Roman Reigns and Shane McMahon have a segment on both shows of the week, and it's usually in the beginning because they kick off the show, because what better way to start off a show than the legendary feud everyone is enjoying right now. After that, we have either Sami Zayn or Kevin Owens showing up on the opposite brands to team up together. Then the Usos move over and have a tag team match because SmackDown Live has like 2 tag teams total. Finally, Alexa Bliss and Bayley just continue their feud. We don't see anything new, and it's clearly lazy writing. Number 3, it took away opportunities. As a result of seeing the same shit every week, many wrestlers lost potential opportunities that were going to come. People like Andrade Cien Almas, Finn Balor, Rusev, Mustafa Ali, Apollo Crews, and Buddy Murphy are just a few to name that lost the opportunity to compete for the World Championships. Hell, they even lost the chance to appear on television. I think Finn Balor and Nakamura weren't on TV since like April or something like that, and Buddy Murphy wasn't even featured on TV yet. Or he could have been, I don't even watch, so I wouldn't even know like that. This is terrible news for the big-ass roster WWE has. This is worse news for NXT wrestlers who are soon to be called up on the main roster, because if wrestlers from WWE right now can't be featured on TV, then there's no way that those NXT guys are going to even have a chance. During the brand split, we saw Daniel Bryan capture his 3rd championship. We saw Kofi Kingston becoming champion. AJ Styles won the WWE title, which no one thought they would ever see. Samoa Joe was involved in a WWE title feud. Rusev challenged AJ Styles for the championship, and even Jinder Mahal won the WWE title. As you can see, all these people had these crazy opportunities. Unfortunately, the wildcard rule will strip the chance from all the other people waiting for an opportunity. Honestly, at this point, NXT should just be a third brand, or WWE should cut down on signing people, because you're just going to have them be doing nothing and it's a waste of money and also a waste of their years in their prime. Number 2, Survivor Series is pointless. This one hurts my heart the most because of my love for Survivor Series. Every time I mention Survivor Series, I always remind all of you for my love of the pay-per-view because it is truly one of my favorite memories as a child. Seeing all the guys from Raw interact with the superstars from SmackDown was so much fun. It only happened one time a year and it brought a lot of prestige to this pay-per-view. It gave Survivor Series a purpose. Let's go back to 2016 when the brand split was reintroduced and we had a traditional 5v5 Raw vs SmackDown match. It was AJ Styles, Shane McMahon, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, and Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. It was one of the best Survivor Series matches we've ever seen, and I think I will never forget it. It was well done and brought back relevance to the pay-per-view. However, now it doesn't mean much for this year's pay-per-view because we already see everyone wrestling on Raw and SmackDown and Raw and SmackDown and the pay-per-views. At this point, WWE should just cancel the pay-per-view because a wildcard rule ruined it. Maybe this is a possibility that would be pretty nice, and that is having NXT versus Raw/SmackDown Survivor Series, which would be super fun, but we know it ain't happening. Number 1, we have SmackDown is Raw 2.0. I think the biggest problem with the wildcard rule is that it completely ruins SmackDown. Every single week, SmackDown is basically a repeat of Raw. They show replays and do similar segments from the night before. I don't know if this is just because they are lazy or if it's because Vince McMahon wants Raw to be the flagship show, but SmackDown is now, I hate to say it, unwatchable. I praised SmackDown for the last 3 years so much, but I can't say anything anymore. I am hoping that Fox forces changes and saves SmackDown Live, but at this point, I cannot watch till we get rid of this god-awful wildcard rule before it keeps hurting the product. F you wildcard rule. And that is it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Follow me on Twitter at Valon Pllana, and I'll see you all in the next video.